When her shield fell, everything changed. The classroom was shaken. HFY Sci-Fi story. The Alien Academy was always filled with noise. Students talked, whispered, and argued in their strange voices that echoed through the stone walls. But whenever she entered the room, silence followed her dot. Her name was Kara. She was not like the others. While every alien wore robes and moved freely, Kara always kept her shimmering shield around her. It glowed faintly, like a bubble of light wrapping her body. Nobody dared come close. The shield made her untouchable, unreachable. The other students had grown used to it. Some laughed behind her back. Some spread rumors. She hides because she is cursed. Her power is unstable. She will explode one day. And in the corner of the classroom, sitting quietly with his books, was the only human in the academy. His name was Daniel. Unlike the others, he did not laugh. He only watched. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy, and most thought he would not last long in a school full of hostile aliens. Yet somehow he stayed. The lesson began as usual. The elder teacher spoke of ancient battles and the laws of energy control. Students yawned, scratched their notes, or secretly talked. Kara sat in silence, her shield glowing faintly. Then, without warning, something changed. Kaira slowly lowered her shield. At first, no one noticed. The faint glow flickered, then faded. For the first time in years, her true face was visible. Sharp eyes, strange markings on her skin, and a look of cold defiance. The room froze. Students gasped. Even the elder stopped speaking. Daniel leaned forward. His chest tightened. Something about this moment felt dangerous. And then it happened. The air itself cracked. A deep sound like thunder rolled through the room. Desks shook, walls trembled, and the lights flickered wildly. A shockwave burst from Kara's body, silent yet powerful. The students screamed, stumbling backwards. Scrolls and datapads flew into the air, crashing to the ground. But Daniel did not move. The shockwave rushed over him, tearing at his desk, shaking his chair. Yet somehow he was still there, untouched. His eyes locked with Kara's, and for a brief moment it felt as if the entire room had vanished. The elder shouted, "Stop this at once!" But his voice was drowned out by the humming energy. The shockwave ended as suddenly as it began. Silence returned, heavier than before. The classroom was a mess, books scattered, lights flickering, dust falling from the ceiling. Students stared at Kara in fear, pressing themselves against the walls. Kara's shield was still down. Her chest rose and fell, her eyes glowing faintly as if some inner storm still raged. Daniel looked at his hands. His skin burned, and when he turned his palm, he saw it faint glowing lines, like a mark, pulsing softly. No one else seemed to notice. They were too busy staring at Kara. The elder's face turned pale. He raised his staff and pointed at her. "Kara, do you know what you have done? You dare release such energy inside these halls?" Kara's voice was calm, steady. "I did not release it. It released itself." The elder trembled. Students whispered. Some shouted for her to be expelled. Others demanded the council be called. Daniel's gaze stayed on her. Something deep inside him whispered, "This is not the end. This is the beginning." Kara's eyes flicked toward him. For the briefest second, she seemed almost afraid. Then, without warning, her shield flickered back to life, surrounding her once more. The elder slammed his staff against the ground. "Class dismissed. Everyone out." The students rushed out, whispering, fearful, glancing back at Kara. Daniel moved slowly, his hand still glowing faintly, hidden under his sleeve. As he passed Kara, her shield parted just enough for her voice to reach him. Her words were soft, almost a whisper. "You should not have seen that," she said. "Now you are marked." Daniel froze. His breath caught in his chest. He turned, but her shield sealed again, shutting him out. The elder was already calling. Guards. The students ran to spread the story by nightfall. The entire academy would know. Kara had lowered her shield. A shockwave had been unleashed, and the human had survived it. But Daniel knew something the others did not. His hand still glowed, faintly pulsing with the same strange energy. And in his heart, he understood one terrifying truth. This was only the beginning. The academy halls had never felt so alive with fear. That night, the corridors buzzed with voices. Alien students huddled in groups, whispering Kara's name as if speaking it too loudly would summon her. Doors creaked open, eyes peeked out, and the rumor spread like wildfire. She had lowered her shield. The human had survived by midnight. The whole academy knew. Some said Kara's power would destroy them all. Others swore the council would drag her away before morning. And some whispered something stranger, that the human boy had been chosen by the energy itself. Daniel walked. The hall alone, the glow on his hand hidden under his sleeve. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw it again. Kara's stare, the shockwave, the flicker of fear in her eyes when she looked at him. He should have been terrified. Instead, he felt drawn to her. The whispers followed him. Alien voices hissed. As he passed, why did the wave not crush him? Humans are weak. He should be dead. Maybe he carries the same curse. He ignored them, though his chest tightened with every step. He had never truly belonged here, and now, more than ever, he was an outsider at the far end of the hall. Guards stood by the elder's chamber. Their armor glowed faintly with protective runes, and their spears hummed with energy. Something was happening inside. Daniel slowed, pretending to glance at the statues along the wall, but his ears strained to catch the voices from beyond the door. "She is dangerous," one voice growled. "The shield was meant to contain her. Without it, she has awakened early," the elder's voice said, heavy with fear. "The ritual was not meant to begin yet." "And the human?" Another voice asked. "Why is he still alive?" Daniel's heart skipped. He pressed closer to the stone wall. The elder answered, voice sharp. "He is an anomaly, nothing more. But if the energy has marked him," a pause, "then we have no choice. The council must decide." The guards shifted. Daniel quickly moved on before they noticed him lingering. His mind spun. What ritual? What awakening? And why did they speak of Kara, as if she were not one of them, but something far worse? He returned to his chamber, but sleep would not come. The glow in his hand pulsed stronger in the dark, like a heartbeat. He clenched his fist, hiding it under the blanket, but it refused to fade. A soft knock came at his door. He froze. At this hour, no one visited. Slowly, he opened it. Kara stood there, shield gone. Her face was pale, her eyes sharper than before. She looked around once, then pushed inside without waiting for permission. Daniel closed the door behind her. "You shouldn't be here. I had no choice," she said quickly. Her voice was low, urgent. "They will come for me before dawn. And if they discover your mark, they will come for you too." Daniel's hand tightened on his sleeve. "So it's true. This mark." "What is it?" Kara turned to him. For the first time, he saw fear on her face, not the cold, distant look she wore in class, but real fear. "It means the energy chose you," she whispered. "The same force that has lived inside me since I was a child. That is why I built the shield, to keep it contained, to keep everyone safe. But today," she looked away, her voice breaking slightly. "Today it escaped." Daniel's chest burned. "And now it's inside me?" "Not inside," she corrected softly. "Connected. It reached for you, and you survived. That has never happened before." The room felt colder. Daniel's breath came shallow. What happens now? Before she could answer, a loud sound echoed through the hall. The pounding of armored boots. Voices shouting orders. The guards were moving. Kara's eyes widened. They are coming for me. Daniel stepped toward the door. Then hide here. She shook her head. No, if they find me here, they will kill you first. The elders fear what they cannot control, and they will never accept a human carrying their energy. The boots grew louder. The glow on Daniel's hand pulsed violently, as if sensing danger. He clenched his fist, but light escaped between his fingers. Kara's eyes locked on his hand. It has already begun. Begun? He asked, heart pounding. The bond, she whispered, between us. The boots stopped right outside the door. A deep voice shouted, "Open, by order of the Elder Council." Daniel's throat went dry. His mind raced. If he opened the door, they would see Kara. If he refused, suspicion would fall on him. Either way, the secret would be revealed. Kara placed her hand on his. The glow from his mark surged, connecting with her touch. Her eyes blazed for a moment, and he felt something pass between them, strength, fear, and something deeper, something unspoken. Whatever happens, she said softly, do not let them take me. The door shook under a heavy strike. Daniel swallowed hard, his heart hammering against his chest. For the first time since he arrived at the academy, he stood at the edge of a choice that would change everything. And in that breathless silence, he realized something terrifying. The whispers in the hall were true. This was no longer just about Kara. No, it was about him too. The pounding on the door grew louder, echoing through the chamber like a drum. Of War. Daniel stood frozen, his fists clenched. His glowing hand trembled under Kara's touch. She didn't move, her sharp eyes locked on his, waiting for his choice. The guards outside shouted again. By the authority of the Elder Council, open this door at once. Daniel's breath came fast. He had always been an outsider here, tolerated but never trusted. If he opened the door now, it was over. They would take Kara, and maybe him too. Pounding stopped. A silence stretched so heavy, it felt like the air had frozen. Then, with a surge of raw energy, the door burst open. The guards stormed in towering aliens with glowing armor and sharp spears. Their eyes darted around the room until they landed on Kara. There she is. One barked. Kara stepped forward. Calmly, but Daniel felt her hand squeeze his once, quick and firm, as if to pass something wordless between them. The guards raised their spears, but one suddenly froze. His eyes flicked to Daniel's glowing hand. The light was spilling through his sleeve, no matter how hard he tried to hide it. The guard's voice broke. He bears the mark. The rune shifted. The guard's eyes widened. Their grips tightened. A murmur passed between them like a ripple of panic. The mark? Another whispered. On a human? Before anyone could react further, the elder himself entered. His long robe swept across the floor, his face carved with ancient lines of power. He lifted a hand, and the guards instantly lowered their spears, though their fear did not fade. Elder's gaze locked on Daniel. For a long moment, silence ruled. Then he spoke, his voice heavy and dangerous. Bring them both. The council chamber was vast, carved from black stone, glowing veins of energy running through its walls like living rivers. The air smelled of smoke and old rituals. Daniel and Kara stood in the center, surrounded by a circle of elders. Each elder carried eyes like fire, and each leaned forward as if Daniel were a strange beast brought in from another world. The elder, who had summoned them, spoke first. The shield has fallen. The energy is loose. Kara has failed her task. Kara lifted her chin, her voice steady though her eyes burned. I contained it for years. None of you dared carry it. You locked me away behind a shield because you feared what I could become. And now you fear him." She gestured at Daniel. The council murmured darkly. One elder slammed his staff on the ground. "Silence, child. You brought danger into this academy. The human should never have survived. The bond between you is unnatural." Daniel's heart raced. Bond? What bond? The elder's eyes narrowed. The energy is alive. It chooses. It has chosen only one vessel for centuries. Until now. His gaze turned sharp. And it has chosen you as well. Daniel's blood ran cold. The glow on his hand pulsed stronger, answering the elder's words. He could feel Kara's presence through it, faint but real, as if some invisible thread connected them. One elder hissed, "If two carry the energy, its balance will break. The bond must be severed." Another answered, voice cruel, "Then the human must die." The words struck the chamber like lightning. The guards shifted, their hands tightening on their spears. Daniel's stomach dropped. He had expected suspicion. Anger, even exile but death? Kara stepped in front of him. Her voice cracked like steel. "If you kill him, you kill me too. The bond has already formed. The energy tied us. To strike him down is to tear me apart." The council stirred. Some looked shocked, others furious. The leading elder's face twisted with thought. "You claim his life is tied to yours?" "I do not claim," Kara said, her eyes blazing. "I feel it." She turned to Daniel, her voice dropping softer. "And so does he." Daniel opened his mouth to deny it, but the words would not come, because deep inside he knew it was true. He could feel her heartbeat in the strange glow in his hand. He could feel her fear and her strength as if they were his own. The elder's gaze grew darker. "Then we have created something worse than we feared. Two marked ones, bound together, uncontrolled." He lifted his hand. "Guards, take them to the ritual chamber. If the bond cannot be severed, then it must be burned away." The guards moved forward. Their spears hummed with power, their steps heavy. Daniel felt his chest tighten, panic rising. Kara's hand brushed his again, quick but fierce. "Do not show fear," she whispered. "Fear gives them power." But Daniel couldn't help it. His whole body shook. The ritual chamber. Even the name made his skin crawl. The guards dragged them down long corridors, deeper into the academies. Hidden levels. The walls grew darker, carved with symbols that seemed to writhe when he stared at them too long. Strange sounds echoed low chants, whispers that weren't human. Finally, they reached a massive door of stone, sealed with glowing chains. The guards struck their spears, and the door slowly creaked open. Inside was a cavern lit by fire pits. Strange symbols burned on the floor. At the center stood a great stone altar, black as night. Daniel's breath caught. He knew, without being told, that this was a place no one returned from. The elder entered behind them, his voice echoing in the chamber. "The bond between you threatens us all. Tonight, it ends." Kara stepped forward, her voice sharp. "You fear what you cannot control, but you cannot kill what the energy has chosen." The elder's eyes narrowed. "We will see." He raised his staff. The fire pits blazed higher. The chains on the walls rattled like living snakes. The ground trembled. Daniel's mark burned brighter than ever, light flooding from his hand. He cried out, clutching it. Kara's mark answered, glowing from her chest like a second sun. The air crackled with energy, pulling toward them, binding them closer. The elders shouted, their chants filling the cavern. The ritual had begun. Daniel's body shook. The bond pulled at him, stronger and stronger, until he thought it would rip him apart. Kara's hand gripped his, steadying him. Her voice cut through the chaos, fierce and unyielding. Daniel, listen. To me, they want us to break. But if we stand together, the energy will obey us, not them. His heart pounded. Sweat poured down his face. He looked into her burning eyes and felt the strange thread between them tighten. The elder's voice rose above all others. Sever the bond. And then, with a deafening roar, the energy exploded. The explosion shook the ritual chamber like a living earthquake. The black stone cracked. Fire pits spilled their flames into the air, twisting into shapes that looked almost alive. The glowing symbols on the floor shattered, scattering sparks like broken stars. Daniel fell to his knees, clutching his burning hand. The glow had spread. Up his arm, crawling across his chest like a living flame beneath his skin. Kara stood beside him, her chest shining like a second sun. Her face pale but determined. The elders staggered back, shielding their eyes. Their chants faltered, replaced by shouts of alarm. "This is not possible," one cried. "The bond is growing." Another screamed. The head elder slammed his staff against the ground, forcing his voice to rise above the chaos. "Contain them, before the energy devours us all." The guards rushed forward, spears humming with deadly power. But as they moved, the ground itself split. Light surged upward in a violent wave, throwing them back like broken dolls. Their armor cracked. There, weapons shattered. Daniel's breath came in ragged gasps. He felt the energy inside him, wild and furious, like a storm that refused to be caged. It wasn't just power, it was alive. It pushed against his veins, demanding to be released. Kara grabbed his shoulder. "Daniel, focus. Don't let it control you." But it was too late. The chamber walls pulsed with the rhythm of his heartbeat. Every flame bent toward him. Every shadow recoiled. Then something else happened. He heard whispers, not from the elders, not from Kara, but deep, inside his head. Voices in a language he didn't know yet, somehow understood. Chosen, bound, vessel of light, vessel of end. Daniel's vision blurred. The elders' faces twisted and stretched. The world itself seemed to bend. For a moment, he wasn't in the chamber at all. He was standing in a vast void, filled with stars that pulsed like living eyes, and in the center of it, something watched him. It was not human. It was not alien. It was something older, deeper. A presence made of light and shadow, stretching across eternity. The voice filled him, heavy as thunder. "You are mine now." Back in the chamber, Daniel screamed. The glow burst from his chest in a wave, sending elders and guards flying. Stone pillars cracked. The ceiling trembled. Kara held on to him, her own light clashing with his, weaving together like two rivers meeting. She looked into his eyes and saw the terror there. "Daniel, stay with me," she shouted. "Do not listen to it." He gasped, shaking, sweat pouring down his face. "It's inside me. It wants control, Kara. I can't stop it." Her grip tightened. "Yes, you can, because you are not alone." The words cut through the storm. For a heartbeat, Daniel saw her, not the chamber, not the elders, not the void. Just Kara, her fierce eyes, her burning strength. The bond between them pulsed, stronger than before. The light from their bodies intertwined, wrapping around them like a shield. The elder roared in fury. "No, the bond cannot be allowed to grow." He raised his staff high. Dark energy poured from its tip, slamming against their shield. Sparks flew. The ground shook harder. The altar cracked down the middle. Kara gritted her teeth. "He's trying to tear us apart." "Don't let go, Daniel. Whatever happens, hold on." Daniel's muscles screamed in pain. His vision blurred again. But this time, when the void returned, it wasn't empty. Kara's presence was there too, standing beside him in the endless dark, together. They faced the presence that had whispered. To him, it loomed like a giant of fire and shadow, its voice echoing through their skulls. Two vessels, one bond. It cannot last. Ka'ira raised her chin, defiant even in the void. Then it will last, because we choose it. The presence shifted, as if amused. Choice? You think you are free? You are bound to me, to the energy. It will break you. Daniel felt. Fear clawed him again. But Kara's hand slipped into his. Even here, even in this strange space, her voice was steady. He's wrong. We're stronger together. The bond flared like a sun. The presence roared in anger, its form unraveling into sparks. And then they were back in the chamber. The explosion came not from Daniel, but from both of them. Light surged outward in a perfect wave, throwing the elder across the room. His staff shattered, his robes torn. The guards fell to the ground, groaning. The fire pits extinguished in an instant. Silence fell. The ritual chamber was wrecked. Stone cracked. Smoke filled the air. The elders lay scattered, groaning and afraid. Kara and Daniel stood in the center, still glowing faintly, their hands linked. The elder dragged himself to his feet, his face twisted with rage and fear. His voice trembled as he spoke. You are not marked. You are cursed. Daniel swallowed hard, his chest still burning. He looked at Kara, then back at the elder. No, we're not cursed. We're chosen. The elder's eyes narrowed. Then you have chosen war. For the energy does not serve, it consumes. And when it consumes you, it will consume us all. The words hung in the smoky air like a death sentence. Kara's grip on Daniel's hand tightened. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of fear. They won't stop, Daniel. They'll hunt us. The elders, the council. Maybe the whole empire. Daniel nodded slowly, his heart pounding. He felt the bond pulse again, strong and undeniable. Then let them try. The chamber trembled one last time, as if the energy itself had answered. And far away, beyond the academy. Walls, something ancient stirred, drawn to the light that had just been unleashed. The academy halls echoed with alarms. Red lights flashed along the walls, filling the corridors with a bloody glow. Voices shouted orders in the alien tongue. Guards in black armor stormed every passage, their weapons humming with deadly energy. But Daniel and Kara were already running. The moment the ritual chamber cracked apart, they had escaped through a broken wall. Smoke clung to their clothes, the bond between them still glowing faintly beneath their skin. Every step Daniel took sent pain racing through his veins. The energy inside him had not settled. It clawed at him like a wild beast, demanding freedom. Kara noticed his stagger. She grabbed his arm, forcing him to keep pace. Don't stop. If they catch us now, they'll tear you apart before dawn. Daniel's chest burned, but he nodded. Where are we going? Her voice was sharp, urgent. Away from the academy, away from the elders' reach. There's one place they won't dare follow us. And where's that? He gasped. Ka'ira, single quotes S eyes darkened. The dead spire. Behind them, the elder stood in the ruins of the chamber. His staff was gone, but his fury was not. He raised his hand, blood dripping from his palm, and swore an oath before the other elders. They are no longer students. They are no longer children of the empire. They are traitors. If the bond lives, it will destroy us. The human and the girl must be hunted to the ends of the stars. The other elders bowed their heads, grim. They knew what this meant. Not just pursuit, extermination. And far above the academy, warships stirred. Daniel and Kara reached the academies. Outer wall, a towering barrier of black stone laced with glowing veins. Searchlights swept across the night sky. Alien drones buzzed overhead, scanning for heat signatures. Kara pressed her back against the wall, pulling Daniel close. Wait. Timing matters. He swallowed, his heart pounding. The lights moved closer. He felt like a deer trapped in open ground. Kara shut her eyes. Her chest glowed faintly, then brighter. Daniel felt the bond pulse again, her energy flowing into him. Suddenly, the world slowed. The sweep of the lights dragged like syrup. The hum of the drone sounded distant, muffled. Even his own heartbeat seemed to stretch out, thundering like a drum in a cave. Kara's eyes snapped open. Run now. They burst from the shadows, sliding beneath the searchlights just as they passed. A drone whirred overhead, almost catching them, but Daniel's glow flared for an instant, and the machine spun out of control, crashing into the ground in a shower of sparks. They didn't stop running. The dead spire was not a place students spoke about. It was not in the academy books. It was a forbidden's ruin, standing at the far edge of the Empire's world. Some said it was once a temple. Others said it was a prison. But all agreed on one thing: those who entered never returned. That was why. The elders avoided it. That was why Kara led them there. But Daniel couldn't ignore the unease crawling under his skin. Why the dead spire? What if it's worse than the elders? Kara's face was pale, but her voice was steady. Because the energy is older than the elders. They want to control it, but they never created it. The spire might be the only place that can tell us what we're really carrying. Daniel shivered. He remembered the voice in the void, the presence that had whispered, "You are mine now." And he wondered, what if Kara was wrong? What if the spire didn't give answers? What if it gave chains? The night stretched long. They ran through empty plains, across broken stone paths, through forests that glowed with strange light. Everywhere, the sky was alive with search ships. They moved in formations, dragging beams of white fire across the ground. Sometimes Daniel swore he heard the engines whispering, almost alive, calling his name. At one point, a patrol nearly caught them. 6 guards surrounded the path, their eyes glowing beneath their helmets. One raised a weapon, its barrel humming like thunder. But Daniel didn't think. The energy burst from him like lightning, tearing the weapon from the guard's hand and sending all 6 crashing to the dirt. Smoke rose from their armor. None moved. Again, Daniel's breath came ragged. He stared at his own hands in horror. I didn't mean to." Kara grabbed his wrist. Her voice was fierce. "Don't look back. If you hesitate, we both die." They kept running. At dawn, the spire appeared on the horizon. It was taller than a mountain, blacker than night. Its walls looked like glass and stone fused together, cracked with glowing veins of red light that pulsed like a heartbeat. No birds flew near it. No plants grew around its base. The air itself seemed to bend, whispering in voices Daniel couldn't understand. His chest burned harder. The bond throbbed like it wanted to leap from his skin. Kara slowed, her face pale as she stared at the spire. "It's calling you, just as I feared." Daniel swallowed, dread crawling in his stomach. "Calling me for what?" Her answer was soft. "To finish what the elders began." Far above, the elders' ships circled, hundreds strong. The head elder watched from the bridge of a war cruiser, his eyes fixed on the spire. "Let them enter," he commanded coldly. "The spire will either destroy them or awaken what sleeps within. Either way, they will not escape." The ship's crew obeyed, but some of them shivered, whispering prayers. None liked the idea of waking the spire. At the spire's base, Daniel and Kara stood before the vast black doors. They were covered in symbols older than the Empire itself. As Daniel approached, they glowed, responding to the energy inside him. The doors opened. Darkness spilled out. Not ordinary darkness, something deeper, heavier. Daniel felt his knees weaken. The whispers in his head grew louder, clearer. Welcome home, vessel. Kara's grip on his hand trembled. She whispered, Daniel, whatever happens inside, don't let go of me. He squeezed her hand back, even as the shadows swallowed them both. His spire closed behind them with a sound like a heartbeat. And the hunt outside turned to silence, because everyone guards, elders. Soldiers knew the truth. No one who entered the dead spire ever came out the same. The doors of the dead spire closed behind them with a deep, echoing sound. It was not like stone or metal. It was like a heartbeat, sealing them inside something alive. Daniel froze. The air was thick, heavy, almost liquid. It pressed against his skin, sinking into his lungs with every breath. He could not see the ceiling, nor the floor beneath his boots. It all shimmered like glass filled with smoke. Kara tightened her grip on his hand. Her voice was a whisper. Stay close. The spire likes to separate souls. If we drift apart? She didn't finish. Daniel swallowed hard. What is this place really? Her eyes flickered nervously. The elders teach that it is cursed, but I think it's worse. I think it's awake. They moved deeper. The walls around them pulsed faintly, glowing with the same red veins that had marked Daniel's chest since the bond. Every pulse matched. His heartbeat. The deeper they went, the louder the whispers became. At first, they were only faint sounds, scraps of syllables, the breath of shadows. But soon, Daniel could understand the words. Vessel, chosen, broken yet whole, mine, mine. He staggered. The glow beneath his skin flared, and the whispers grew louder, filling his skull until it felt like his head would split. Kara pulled him to his feet. Fight it. Don't let it take control. But Daniel's voice was shaking. It knows me. It's calling my name. The passage opened into a vast chamber. In the center stood a throne, if it could be called that. It was not made of stone or metal, but of bone and shadow. Strange ancient symbols burned along its surface, older than the empire itself, and sitting upon it was no one, but Daniel felt eyes, heavy, invisible eyes pressing down on him. His skin crawled. His knees wanted to buckle. Kara dropped too, her knees clutching her chest as if the pressure was crushing her. Her voice was weak. It's here, the source. Daniel looked up at the empty throne. His mouth went dry. The source of what? Before Kara could answer, the shadows around the throne shifted. They did not move like smoke. They moved like limbs. A figure took shape, tall, cloaked in darkness, with no face but burning eyes. The whispers became a voice. At last. The vessel returns. Daniel stumbled backward, his heart hammering. I'm not your vessel. I'm just a human. A shadow's burning eyes flared brighter. Human, yes. Fragile flesh, weak blood, but strong will. That is why you were chosen. Kara forced herself to her feet, standing between Daniel and the shadow. Her voice was trembling, but strong. He belongs to no one. You cannot take him. The shadow tilted its head. Ah, the bonded one. You shield him well, but do you even know what you carry? Kara's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. The shadow laughed. It was not like a human laugh. It was like cracks spreading through glass. The bond was never meant for you. The elders thought to control me through ritual, to bind my power into slaves. But instead, I chose him. Daniel's chest burned hotter, the glow spilling out of his veins like fire. He gasped, clutching himself. Why me? The shadow leaned closer, its eyes piercing into him. Because you are defiance. You are resistance. The empire chains all it touches. But you break chains. Even mine. Daniel staggered. You want me to free you? No, the shadow whispered. I want you to become me. The chamber shook. The red veins on the walls blazed brighter, the ground trembling underfoot. Kara shouted over the noise. "Don't listen to it. The spire. Lies, it always lies." But Daniel could barely hear her. The voice in his skull was deafening. Images flashed before his eyes, armies kneeling, worlds burning, a throne of shadows with him upon it. Power surged in his veins, intoxicating and terrifying. The shadow stretched out a hand made of darkness. "Take what is already yours. With me, you will never kneel again. With me, you will rule." Daniel's hand lifted, almost against his will. The glow inside him responded, reaching toward the shadow. "Daniel, stop!" Kara's voice cracked. She threw her arms around him, holding him back. Her energy flared, her shield erupting to life, wrapping around them both. The chamber shook harder, as if the spire itself was furious. The shadow hissed. "You dare stand in the way, child? The bond has already chosen. When he accepts me, you will vanish like dust." Kara clung to Daniel desperately, whispering into his ear, "Don't leave me. Please. You're more than this power. You're more than its voice." Daniel's mind was tearing in two. The voice of the spire was sweet, commanding, endless. Kara's voice was small, trembling, human. But it was real. And somehow it cut through the storm. Daniel dropped to his knees, clutching his head, screaming. The glow inside him flared so bright it blinded the chamber. The shadow recoiled, shrieking like 1,000 voices at once. Kara's shield wavered, nearly shattering, but she held on. She pressed her forehead against Daniel's, whispering through tears, "You are not its vessel. You are Daniel. You are human." "That's enough." The glow dimmed. Slowly, painfully, Daniel pushed himself upright. His hands shook, but he did not take the shadow's hand. His voice was hoarse, but steady. "I won't be your throne." The shadow's burning eyes narrowed. The chamber fell silent. Then its voice dropped to a deadly whisper. "Then you will be my enemy." The throne cracked. Shadows poured from it, filling the chamber with writhing tendrils. The spire itself seemed to roar, as if awakening fully. The walls bled red light. The air burned with energy. Kara grabbed Daniel's hand. "We have to get out now." But the shadow's tendrils lashed out, striking the ground around them, cutting off every exit. "You think you can run? There is no escape. Not for you. Not for her. Not for anyone." The tendrils struck again, slamming into Kara's shield. The force sent her skidding across the floor, blood dripping from her lips. Daniel's rage boiled. He stood tall, the glow inside him flaring once more. His voice thundered through the chamber. "If I am not your vessel, then I will fight you." The shadow laughed again, deeper, darker. "Then let the galaxy tremble. For tonight, a war begins." Outside the spire, the Elder's fleet watched. The ground cracked. The spire blazed with crimson light so bright it lit the night sky like dawn. The head Elder whispered in horror, "The Source is waking." And in that moment, every soldier, every Elder, every world in the Empire felt the same chill. Something ancient and unstoppable had been disturbed. And two fugitives stood at the center of it all. The spire trembled as if alive, screaming with 1,000 voices. Shadows writhed from the throne like black fire, striking the ground, tearing through the walls. The air was thick with pressure, so heavy it crushed Daniel's lungs. Kara coughed blood, but stood by his side, her shield cracked and flickering. Her voice was ragged. "It's too strong. We can't hold it back forever." Daniel's chest glowed, veins of fire spreading beneath his skin. The Source's power burned inside him, begging to be unleashed. He clenched his fists, trying to resist. The shadow's voice boomed across the chamber, shaking the walls. You are mine, vessel. You cannot fight what you are. You will choose me or you will break. Daniel's voice was raw. I already chose. I'm not your throne. The shadow laughed, the sound like glass shattering. Then watch her bond die in. Front of you, a tendril of darkness shot forward, striking Kara. She screamed as it wrapped around her chest, lifting her into the air. Her shield shattered completely. Daniel lunged forward. No! But more tendrils lashed out, holding him back. The glow in his chest flared brighter, tearing at his very bones. The source whispered inside him, sweet and cruel. Accept me. And she lives. Reject me. And she is ash. Kara's body shook violently in the tendril's grip. Her eyes locked onto Daniel's, filled with fear but also defiance. Don't do it. She gasped, her voice weak but clear. Don't give in for me. If you let it win, we both lose. Tears blurred Daniel's vision. His body trembled between two choices, power or love, throne or freedom. The source pressed harder, flooding his mind with visions. He saw himself ruling empires, unchained, feared by all. Kara alive, safe by his side, worshipped as his queen. But then another vision forced itself forward, Kara's hand slipping from his as the source consumed him, her eyes filled with betrayal, the galaxy burning. Daniel roared in rage and pain. His body cracked with light, glowing veins tearing through his skin. He felt himself splitting apart. Suddenly, Kara's voice pierced through the chaos. It was faint, almost lost in the storm. But it reached him. Daniel, remember who you are. Not a throne, not a weapon. A man. My man. Her words hit him like lightning. The glow inside him shifted, not burning, not enslaving. For the first time, it answered to him. The tendrils holding him snapped apart in a flash of fire. Daniel surged forward, his body blazing with light. He grabbed Kara's hand, pulling her free. She collapsed into his arms, trembling but alive. The source screamed. The throne cracked. Deeper, shadows lashing wildly. No, you cannot resist me. You are mine. Daniel set Kara gently down, then stood tall, his eyes glowing like fire. His voice thundered. I don't belong to you. And I never will. The chamber shook violently, the ceiling splitting. Outside, the spire blazed with crimson light, casting shadows across the Empire's fleet. Soldiers fell to their knees, trembling as a wave of power pulsed outward. Inside, the shadow figure rose taller, its burning eyes blazing like suns. Then die with her dot, the tendrils struck again, hundreds of them, crashing down like storms. Daniel raised his hands. Light exploded from his body, meeting the shadows head-on. The clash was deafening, shaking the spire to its core. Kara shielded, her eyes as the chamber filled with fire and darkness. For endless moments, it was war. Light against shadow, fire against void. Daniel screamed as the source's power tore at him, trying to bend him, break him, consume him. But Kara's voice was always there, echoing in his heart. You are more than this power. You are Daniel. With one final roar, Daniel pushed forward, driving the light deeper into the shadow's core. The figure shrieked, its body unraveling into smoke. Impossible. No mortal can defy me. Daniel's voice was steel. I'm not just mortal. I'm human. That means I fight. And with that, he unleashed everything. The spire erupted. A pillar of light shot into the sky, ripping through the clouds, splitting the heavens. The shadow screamed one last time before shattering into nothing. The throne crumbled to dust. The chamber fell silent. Daniel collapsed to his knees, smoke rising from his skin. The glow inside him dimmed to a faint ember. He felt empty, drained yet free. Kara crawled to him, clutching his face with trembling hands. You're alive? You did it. Daniel gave a weak smile. We did it. But then the ground shook again. They looked around in horror. The spire was collapsing. The walls cracked, chunks of stone and shadow falling around them. Kara pulled him up. We have to move now. They staggered toward the exit as the chamber caved in. Fire and debris rained from above. The air filled with dust and the smell of burning stone. Just as the doors loomed ahead, a massive chunk of the ceiling crashed down, blocking their path. Daniel clenched his fists, but his body was too weak. His glow flickered faintly, almost gone. Kara grabbed his face, desperation in her eyes. There's one way, the bond. If we burn it fully, it will give us one last surge. Daniel froze. Burn it? You mean? She nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. We won't survive it, but we'll escape. Together. His heart ached. After everything, after rejecting the source, after defying fate, was this how it ended? The spire shook harder, the walls crashing inward. Daniel took her hand, pressing it to his chest. His voice was soft but steady. And if we burn together. They closed their eyes. The bond flared one last time, brighter than ever before. Light consumed them both. Outside, the spire collapsed completely, reduced to ash. The crimson glow faded from the sky. Silence fell across the battlefield. The Empire's fleet hovered above the ruins, stunned. The elders stared in horror. And somewhere, across countless worlds, people felt the chains of fear loosen just slightly. Because the vessel had chosen to fight. And though the spire was gone, its echoes whispered a single truth. The war had only just begun.